The rainfall that we had in end of May 2021, it was forecast. The Met Service at the time, leading up to the event, it was one of the first red weather warnings that we'd had down in the South Island. We had forecast around 300 mils of rain in 24 hours, and what we ended up getting was about 500 mils of rain over a period of 48 hours. All the rivers in this part of the region were running really, really high.
A lot of water came down the river, and in a lot of places it took away our flood protection trees. It scoured out the stop bank and eventually blew out and went over the road. So that cut off one of the major roads out here, Thompson's Track, which goes to Geraldine and is probably second to State Highway 1. So that was impassable for about a week. Obviously the main road was closed with the Ashburton Bridge, and the upper road was closed. So it was essentially cut off. My small team and other regional council staff members went out on flood patrol. We'd use our apps and such to pinpoint the location of damaged sites. So the stop bank was rebuilt. It was stripped back and river shingle was used to build it back up with dump trucks and diggers. It was clay capped over the top and then grass seeded. The grass is quite important because that stops the weeds coming through and stops piping through the stop bank and water finding weaknesses. And then we rebuilt shingle groinings out here with slotted trees. They're all tied in with wire ropes and concrete blocks. And then we pole planted willow poles in amongst the jobs to build up the berm. The poles that are planted in the berm, they slow down the water in the edges. Fast moving water's out in the river, and it's no damage to the sides of the river, the berm, so the plantings and the trees and our stop banks.
This is one site of over 400 repair sites that we worked on through the project. What we wanted to do was at least build back the resilience that existed prior, but being really conscious of these events happening more frequently in the future, trying to add a bit of resilience where we could. The jobs varied from complete sections of stop bank that had disappeared, that we literally had to rebuild, but a lot of the work that was undertaken was vegetation reinstatement. We used a lot of the existing vegetation that was either still standing or that had been washed out. We're able to drag it back in while it was still alive and replant it and reuse it, so turning a liability into an asset. A lot of erosion and scour protection in some of the more constrained areas, such as through the township of Geraldine, for instance. We did use some rock protection to protect those riverbanks from erosion through there. We repaired around just over 5 kilometres of stop bank. We estimate we've planted over 60,000 trees as part of this project. The total cost of the work is just over $22 million, and that investment's been funded through a combination of contributions from NEMA, from central government, and Environment Canterbury. So NEMA funding about $8.3 million and Environment Canterbury the balance. We've had a lot of help from the landowners that live directly adjacent to these riverbeds, from welcoming us onto their properties to temporary use of their land while we undertake the work. It's been amazing to see the community help us with that.
It was an amazing sense of achievement to actually have delivered all of that work. Hopefully it provides a bit of reassurance and a bit of security to the landowners and farmers and etc. downstream.
We're 3 years after the flood now. A lot of the vegetation that we've planted is 1 to 2 years old, so it's still going to take another couple of years for all that to really take hold and bind the river margin in the same way as the large trees that were there prior to the flood. When we look at these schemes into the future, we're really conscious of the fact that climate change is happening and these events are going to get more frequent, more severe. So we're looking at all of these flood protection schemes, looking for opportunities to improve the level of resilience from a flooding and erosion perspective for our communities.